What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special episode of In True Form. This segment is actually called On the Clock with TrueShot. Something new, something I wanted to kind of put together and see how it goes. Definitely need to know if you rock with it or if you don't rock with it. But I want to kick off this first episode of On the Clock with TrueShot, talking about mental health. We're just getting out of June, which was Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I just want to kind of touch on it. Suicide rates is high. People are stressed about just about everything from work, money, relationships, jobs, just coming down on them a certain kind of way. Death. Just recently, a few months ago, I lost my cousin. A lot of y'all know that, some don't, but I lost a very, very close cousin of mine, Daryl Mathis Jr. Lost him in Newark, New Jersey, and it was devastating. Me and my cousin was super close. It's the first time I'm actually talking about it on any type of platform, so bear with me as I try to get through this. But my cousin Daryl was like a brother to me. We grew up together. We bathed together. We talked about everything together. And he died in a major car wreck, hit and run, car crash, hit and run in New York, coming back from a Rick Ross event. But anyway, it came at a weird space in my life. And, I've dealt with death before. My Nana passed away in 2016, 2017 time. And, I lost my uncle, and I lost a few cousins, distant cousins. But I never felt that grief like I felt with my cousin. Me and my cousin Daryl was the same age. Some people know him as, Maybach Swag, but that was Little Big Cuz. I was his big cousin, but I always called him Little Big Cuz, or D, or my cousin was motivational. When we talked, he lifted me up. When we talked, he hyped me up. He was a huge hype man. And his laugh was contagious. Every time he had an opportunity to, connect with me, he did. He'll give you the shirt off his back. And I miss him. I miss my cousin. And I don't talk about it to too many people. I don't bring it up a lot, but I miss my cousin. I miss picking up the phone and being like, yo, this is what I got going on, man. These are the photos that I just took, or, let me know what you think. I'm about to shoot this your way. When you coming to visit, when you coming up, next time I'm coming up, all of that, man. And, I can't do that no more. And it's tough thinking about that. Like, you can't pick up the phone and you can't call anybody. So, when you talk about men's mental health, I think about, struggling with work. You struggle with work, you feel like you're not doing enough at work, or you feel like, your boss is raining down on you, or you feel like there's no upward mobility, there's no way of making more money. It's hard for you to show up at home. You could be in a relationship and, your significant other or your partner can be wearing on you a little bit, and you start feeling like, are you needed? You start feeling like, are you worth it? Everything starts playing in your mind when it comes to the mental weight. And what therapy has done for me is allowed me to vent to someone that's neutral, someone that is not holding corners or holding sides. You know, they can give you the advice that you need, and they can be hard, they can be tough on you, but you know, it's an outlet. You know, the older I get, you know, I think about the relationships that I've come across, relationships that I've lost. I think about death. You know, I never thought in a million years that my cousin would be dead at 39 years old. Never thought of that in a million years, that that was his ending. Especially when you know you lived a dope life, when you doing a lot of the things that you want to do, you know, you start thinking about, like, you wake up every day, you hit your friend up or something like that, and you like, hey man, I got this going on, I got this coming up, and you're planning for it, and you don't make it to that plan. You don't make it to what you've been getting excited about. And that's scary, thinking about that. You know, I tell my grandma, hey, I'll see you next time I come. Am I gonna make it to see her? So, you know, I talked to my brother recently, and you know, we haven't talked in a while. But you thinking like, you know, was I ever gonna be able to, you know, talk to my brother again? It's a whole bunch of stuff that you just think of when you experience death, or you experience a different level of stress. You know, you start questioning things like, you know, am I going to lose my job? You know, if you're someone in your household that, you know, your income is solely provided, you know, solely on you in a sense, or however you want to look at it. You know, you got to be the best person at your job. You got to be the best person with your business. You know, me having my photography business, I be questioning myself sometimes. Do I need to still be doing this? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? All those things, and it's just tough. But you know, and then you hear, you know, people losing their lives, you know, and you think of, you know, the crime rate, you think of the recession, you think of these plane crashes, like all that kind of stuff, man. It's just like, it can wear on you. One of the biggest reasons, though, that I've got into therapy is to be a better husband and to be a better father, and try to erase the generational curse, you know, that's stowed upon us black men. You know, a lot of y'all don't know I'm from Newark, New Jersey. Projects, Bradley Court projects. Lived in so many different places. My childhood wasn't bad, but my childhood was tough. I wasn't a troubled kid, but witnessing my older brother do a lot of things, from crime to, you know, behavioral issues, and then having to bear the weight of being a prime example for my younger brother, had weighed on me. You know, watching my mother and my father go through a lot of different things from a marital standpoint, it was tough. You know, moving from different schools, being at 3 different, maybe 4 different elementary schools, 2, 3 different middle schools, 2 different high schools, you know, moving from Jersey to Philly to back to Jersey, from Jersey to different parts of New Jersey, and then to Augusta, Georgia. It weighed on me a lot, and it shaped me to be the person that I am today. But I brought a lot of stuff from growing up. One of the things that I used to be really, really unhealed with was, worrying about what people think, or, having expectations with people. That was something that you still learning every day. You still, I'm still teaching myself to not have that type of mindset, but you do things in life, and you do things for people, or you put yourself in different rooms and spaces, and you just want people to react to you or respond to you in a way that you would respond to them or react to them. So, that was tough growing up and becoming an adult, and then realizing that people are not you. People don't move like you. They don't act like you. So that's something that can mess with you psychologically as well, because you think it's about you. You think it's your fault. You blame yourself a lot. And right now I don't have a relationship with my mother, and I had to come to grips with that, and I still think about that to this day, but I know that overall it's not me. I've done everything I can do. So that's another conversation for another day. But I'm also doing this segment, on the clock with TrueShot. I'm doing this because growing up, I played with a lot of toys. So real quick backstory. I grew up playing with G.I. Joes. I was the middle child of, both of my brothers. And, my older brother played outside and was with his friends a lot. And my younger brother was a baby. And before he was born, I had G.I. Joes. I had all the action figures. I had, a little small TV in my room. I watched movies. I did all of that stuff. So one of the things that I loved to do was play with my toys and create movies and talk to myself while I'm doing it. And I did that for years. My younger brother used to be like, man, you really know how to play with your toys. Like he was like blown away behind that. But in actuality, it brought me peace. So, I was sitting back, as I've been doing these podcast episodes with In True Form, I was just sitting there like, how about I just talk to the camera about whatever, but just have it in that same type of mindset of like when I was growing up, whether it's about sports, mental health, but it also, I realize how good I feel when I have my therapy sessions. When I talk to my therapist, I just be like, man, I felt relieved to talk about stuff that bothers me. My sessions are an hour. They're bi-weekly, and they're Thursday evenings, and I feel relieved. Sometimes you walk away from it, you could just be like, man, I just need a walk. I need to take a break. But also you can walk away from it and just be like, weight off my shoulders. So this is a form of therapy for me. Me just rambling. I might be over here with it. I might be over there with it. It's unscripted. I don't have nothing written down. I don't really have an audience. But if you do watch this, you take something from it, drop a comment, let me know what you want to talk about or what you want me to talk about. Yeah. I want people to really know my story, but you don't always got to give out too much. But people may be going through what you're going through. I talked to one of my guests, and I can now consider him as a good friend, Larry Long Jr. Just mentioned the other day when we filming an episode, he was talking about how, there's hundreds and thousands, millions of ideas buried away. He ain't say it in these words, but buried in the grave with people because people have died and not shared. And, you know, whether that's an invention or that's some, you know, jewels that you can, you know, drop to somebody or whatever, they went away without giving that information out. And I feel like it's a duty for me to just share. You just never know. It might be a teenager out there that needs to hear this, or it might be an adult that's like, man, you know what? I do need to do X, Y, Z. So this is the purpose of that. So yeah, I mean, I feel like mental health is something that needs to be taken a little bit more serious. There are days that, you know, I wake up and I'm just like, man, I don't feel like doing nothing. Like when I tell you, like, I just be like, I don't necessarily be stressed, but I can, you know, your battery pack is important. And, you know, I just remember when I was younger, I used to get up, hey, I'm about to go play basketball. My friends be going all day. And now it's like you have responsibilities. And you can literally wake up and be like, man, I got this to do. Whether you taking care of a family member that's ill, or you running errands, or this can be your day off and you wanted to chill, but now something happens, so now you're involved. So that type of stuff weighs on you. You know, like how you show up for your kids can weigh on you. You don't want to give off any type of negative vibes or any type of negative energy to your kids. So you got to be the way that you're needing to be for them. And that weighs on me. That can weigh on anybody. You know, I can get bookings 3-4 straight weeks, but then don't hear nothing for 3 weeks. So I can be like, man, is my photos good enough? My work ain't, you know, why social media is not putting this in front of this person? Like I start questioning that, and it sucks. It sucks when you having to question and worry and do those different kind of things. So, you know, I want people to take their mental health serious. Yeah. So that's all I'm gonna say at this point. Like I said, I don't have nothing written down. I don't have nothing scripted. So yeah, but yeah, man, let me know what you think, and we'll take it from there and try to keep this going. Peace.